box? Well, there's a few things in the box. There is a die in the box. There's the die. And there's a couple of other things in the box. Alright. It is a beautiful magic morning out there. Welcome, friends of finger flicking, to my show. I'm Dean. I am your host. Magic mornings coming to you from Piper Magic. What do they taste like this week? Let's have a taste. Yellow sponge balls. No. Green. What have I got this week in my magic cave? Nothing. I haven't got a magic cave. I've got a magic review show. Why'd you ask me what was in the cave? You know I haven't got a cave. Cheeky chops. What have I got this week? This Mental Die by Tony Anverdi. Well, it's not really by Tony Anverdi. He was around a while back. He was a Dutch magician who invented some amazing magic. And that magic that he invented, Tony Anverdi, used buzzy buzzes, electronic stuff of the time. And it was amazing because no one knew about stuff like that. And he was groundbreaking. And all the magicians wanted his stuff. And this is a product that's being put out by Murphy's Magic. And it's called Anverdi Mental Die. And I think that it's more of a homage to Tony Anverdi than anything else, because the electronics... the electronics in this product are different, let's say, to the electronics that were being used back in the day when Tony Anverdi was inventing his amazing things. But look, in any case, I've only got 10 minutes for my review show. I don't want to go too much into history. Let's talk about Mental Die today, now, this minute, and what it can do for you. What is it? Well, it's a die that you roll and then it's covered, or it can be in a dice cup, shaken and covered. The spectator can do this. It's out of your hands. You don't look, you turn away, or you're blindfolded, or if it's in a dice cup, you don't have to look. And they have a little peek and they know what the number is, and without you looking, you also know what the number is. No one tells you in the room, there's no stooges. It's a professionally designed and made electronic gimmick which enables you to know the number that is uppermost on that die at any given time. Now, this is a bit of a spin-off from another product that Murphy's put out some time ago called Mental Dice. Almost the same thing, except plural. So you got 3 dice. There was a red, a white, and a blue. And you throw them, and they were covered again, same scenario, and you knew what the number was. And the way you got that information was, it was visual. You visually got that information. The way that you receive the information as to the number on top of Mental Die, which is this product, is not visual. It's going to touch you. The die is going to it's going to give you a little tiny feel, or several little tiny feels, so that you know what the number is. Feels from 1 to 6, and then you'll know what the number is. And it's like a little watch. You can wear it anywhere. It's got a big strap. You can put it on your wrist. You can put it on your thigh. You can put it on your ankle. And it's a little tiny thing, and it's going to touch you. And it's about half the size of a smartwatch or something like that. And you hide that under your clothing, worn under your clothing, and that's what's going to alert you to the number. So what's in the box? Well, before I talk about what's in the box, let's just talk about the box. It's amazing, this. You open it up, and a little light comes on inside the box. It's a bit like that scene in Pulp Fiction where John Travolta opens the briefcase.
We happy? Vincent! We happy?
Yeah, we happy.
Well, depending on the copyright laws surrounding showing clips of Pulp Fiction, you either saw the clip then or you saw some other comedic slide that Sean had placed in. Whatever. Yeah, when you open the box, a little light comes on. This packaging is more and more like Apple packaging every day from Murphy's. And it's great because it really gives you, it makes it look like you're getting bang for your buck with a product, which you really are with this product, by the way. Right, what's in the box? Well, in the box there's a dice, a couple of other things you can't see, and there's a little drawer with some things in there that I'll show you them. It's like a cable and a little thing you put around your wrist. I'm really trying not to expose... Ow! I'm really trying not to expose the magic. Okay, well, here is the dice. That gets thrown, it gets covered up, and you're going to know the number. What's the trailer like? The trailer's great. Is the trailer misleading or is it truthful? It's an absolutely dead set, fair income trailer, which is showing you exactly what's going to happen with this product. All right. My initial thoughts about this: absolutely fantastic. I love this product. It's as close to real magic as you're probably going to get with a prop, a bought prop. It has lots of applications. It is a little bit too good, to be honest. I've been playing around with this and showing the odd person, and you almost feel like you're kind of walking on the dark side a little bit with something like this, because it really is a bit too good. You know, imagine being able to know the number that's on a die at any given time without looking. Imagine the applications of that. All right, let's do a quick performance of this. A couple of ideas that I had, and then we'll talk more about it. Performance now with dice. Well, so here are a couple of ideas that I've had for the product we're reviewing this week called Mental Die. The first routine is based on a trick of Andy Nyman's called Dice Man, a marketed routine called Dice Man. And Andy, during the trick, tells a story about a very famous book called Dice Man, and the major protagonist of the book, well, he's more of an antagonist because it's quite a dark book, has decided that he doesn't want to make any decisions about his day anymore. He's going to wake up and his day will be dictated completely on the roll of the dice. So he makes a list of things from 1 to 6, rolls the dice, whatever number on the list corresponds to the dice number. That's what he's going to do today. And you can imagine the book takes 1 or 2 twists and turns, and it's very, very dark towards the end. And Andy's routine is quite dark, but it's funny, but it's dark. I thought, what about a slightly more upbeat version of that idea of rolling a dice based on a list? So I thought of this. In the summer holidays, when I was a kid, my sister and I were home alone because mum and dad worked full time. And my mum always left a list of things to do, and we had to do them. And what she did was, she made a game out of it. She'd go, right, it's going to be a list of things 1 to 6. You guys roll a dice. Whatever you roll, that's what you do. Great. It was like the first fun thing we did in the day during the holidays. And my mum used to write the lists on individual playing cards. Yeah. I mean, I'm not just saying that because it was all I had here to do it. My mum did it too. And then Emma and I, which is weird because it's not my sister's name, used to have to do the things. And because I was such a good brother, I remember saying to Emma every day, look, Em, just you do one thing. You roll the dice once, you do that one thing, and I'll do all the others. We don't need to keep rolling that dice. I'm going to do everything except one thing, roll the dice, whatever the number is. That's what you're going to do, thought Emma, said quoth I to Emma. So that's what we did. So we'd wake up in the morning and Emma, my sister, she'd roll the dice, and whatever that number was, that was the number that corresponded to the list that Emma was going to do. All right, whatever that was, that'd be the number that'd be the job that Emma would do. Okay, and actually, here's the list. So let's have a look and see. Let's have a little bit of a look-see. See, like I said, just cards numbered from 1 to 6, with I suppose the tasks of the day, right, written on the back actually. So Emma on this day threw a 4, right? So that's a 4. There's the 4. I had to do all the other things. What did I have to do this day? Oh, I had to go to the movies. What's on the back? And I remember Emma's doing number 4. I had to eat sweets. I also had to stay up late and watch TV. And as if that wasn't enough, I also had to play with toys. What a busy day it's going to be for me. My sister only had to do one thing, bless her little cotton socks. What did she have to do? Oh, she had to tidy her room. Voila, magique. So that was one of my ideas for Mental Die, the story about Emma and I playing the game for the housework. And again, the important thing there is that it's intrinsically linked to the die. It's a trick that's themed around the dice, and I think that's important for this, and I'll speak more about that in my closing thoughts. But another idea I had was for a dice game. It's based on a game called Pig, which is a real dice game, where the dice is rolled by each player. They take one roll for each turn, and you're trying to get to 100. It's a bit like blackjack with dice. Instead of 21, you're trying to get to 100. The first person to get to 100 wins, but you can bust out by rolling a 1. And I think if you go over 100, you bust out. Not that you would, but I thought you could apply that to this trick. You could say, it's a game of Pig, you're rolling up to 15, but you can't bust. If you bust, you're out. So you're going to stick before you get to 15, or you might roll a 15. So the spectator rolls, and you never look at that dice. They're checking each time like that, all right? And each time you're being alerted to that number. So as the spectator is rolling the dice in the game of Pig, trying to add up to 15, you're also adding up to 15 because you know the number. So it takes the heat off the dice a little bit one at a time because you're adding up secretly the same way that they're adding up mentally. So now you can have a triple whammy climax to this, right? You can tell them when they've bust without knowing, or you could tell them when they've hit 15 without knowing, or you could suggest that maybe they're very close to 15 and they might want to stop now, and they're like, whoa, how does he know these things? Then you could tell them the exact number on the dice right now that they bust, or that they're sticking on, or that they've made 15 with. So, and as a triple whammy, you could also go back and tell them all those other numbers, if you could remember. You could say, and also the first number you rolled was a 2, the second number you rolled was a 3, and you can do it that way. So that was a second idea for mental dice. And yet another idea I had for this was to incorporate cards with it. Again, the idea of doing a game with dice and cards is they're linked together in terms of gaming. You could have someone roll a dice several times, and you deal out your cards 1 to 6 before you've even looked at the number, right? So it prohibits any kind of fake dealing or any kind of monkey business at all. The cards are all on the table, and you're basically going to make up a 4-card poker hand or a 4-card game hand, and at the end you've got the 4 aces because of fake dealing. But you can do it before you look at the number because you know the number. So anyone who is good with cards can pick up exactly what I mean there about that. So that's just some ideas that I think are quite practical with mental die. Well, there was a couple of ideas for Mental Die from Murphy's Magic by Tony and Verdi. Hope you enjoyed those. This product is absolutely fantastic. It is great value for money. It's expensive, yes, but that doesn't mean it's not value for money. It's terrific. You'll think of so many things for this, but be warned. Don't do too many things with this. All right? I want to talk a little bit about that in a second, but first, I should talk about the online instructions. They're terrific. They're very detailed, they're long. Again, I got bored, got drunk. The only problem with the online instructions is they do about 5 effects. Only one of them, in my opinion, is good. Not that the others aren't good, but they're not suitable. Anything you do with this die, in my opinion, has to be linked in some way thematically to a die. So it's either something to do with a game, cards and the die, a board game, Monopoly or something in the die. If you can, I had a Monopoly idea, but it was, I don't know. PM me. The first thing I'll do is ignore the PM. That's the end of the conversation. Or it's something to do with a dice game. Or it's something to do with a story about dice, like the Dice Man idea of Andy Nyman and the thing about my list with my sister. There are a few tricks on the online instructions that they're just not suitable. They do a version of Color Match, which is an Ann Verdi trick, where there are several coloured marker pens, and they're picked randomly by a spectator who then colours in random portions of a colouring in sheet, and at the end your prediction matches. Well, the version that you do of that with this isn't that. It's not that, it's weaker. You have to correspond the pens to numbers on the dice, and the numbers are on the pens. It doesn't mean anything, it's meaningless. He's got an idea for a book test, like that one. That's an actual book test. You could do a book test with this dice with a normal book. No, don't. Dice are not in book tests. Books are in book tests. Handsome on a book, think of a word. Was it firelight? Yes. Was it candlelight? Yes. Right? So there's ideas on there they're just not suitable for a trick that's about a die. Make your tricks about a die in some way. They're about chance. They're about games. They're about this and that. Stories about dice. The one trick that I really loved, I can't remember the name of it. They have 6 objects. The dice is rolled. A person picks an object. The dice is rolled. The number's covered. The objects are mixed up. The magician mixes the objects up, and the spectator can say stop anywhere she likes. Where she says stop, you look at the number, you count to the object, that's the object she's thinking of every single time. And when they do it, the guy they're doing it for from Murphy's, he's spaced out by it. He can't understand how it's working. They do a version with money too, where there's loads of money except one envelope or one business card, and at the end he always keeps getting the business card, he's not getting the money. You could use that, there's lots of applications for that idea, very simple. I spoke to 2 friends about this while I was preparing the review. I actually put some thought into this because I really love the product. I spoke to 2 people who are very prominent figures of magic in this country who do 2 very different kinds of magic. One was Nick Morton, who's a mentalist, and one was Andrew Wimhurst, who's a card magician and a gambling expert. And I asked them both about this because I thought this could relate to what they were doing as individuals. And sure enough, Nick owns this, and he also owns Mental Dice, and he owns other electronic products. And Nick said to me, you know, that the main trick that he does with this, and in fact one of the only tricks that he does with this, is just a simple thought reading exercise where a person will roll a dice and then he will say, remember the number, now think about the numbers, now listen to me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and he tells them the number they're thinking of. And Nick said people think he's really doing it. So it is a bit of a walk on the dark side, but again, simple. Not necessarily about the dice, but it's a simple approach. I spoke to my friend, and thank you to Nick too, I had a chat with him about reviewing this, and he gave me a lot of useful information. But my other mate, Andrew Wimhurst, he said something very revealing. He had something like this that wasn't a trick. He had a real thing that was like this. A bit of scammery, an actual artifact of cheating that had been sent to him because at the time Andrew had access to getting x-rays done. And the person wanted to see what was inside it because they couldn't figure it out. So things like this have existed in the real world. So that opens you up for a whole lot of routines about cheating, because these kind of things actually existed in real dice games. And my mate Andrew also said something else that was quite important, and that is, with this, you do one thing. You do one thing with this, and you just do one really good thing. Don't do 5 things with the dice, because then people are like, what's the dice being used so often in this? Why are the props the same in every single trick he's doing, but the effects are different? You know, you want to be leading people down garden paths. You don't want to be opening the door for them. I just thought of that. And then as a closing statement, Andrew Wimhurst said, and you know what, Dean, that's the problem with electronic magic. Eventually people will figure it out. Eventually we'll reach a stage in society where everyone knows that you could have a chip in a dice. And that's why sleight of hand will be the ultimate way to separate the wheat from the chaff. So there you go. But it is an amazing product, and thank you to those guys for their information, their input. So it can be used in both those terms, can't it? It can be used for gambling and card things and cheating with dice, and it can be also used for more mental exercises, thought reading, this and that. Out of the box, it's going to work straight away. You might have to charge it up. I've been using it for 2 weeks and I haven't had to charge it up. I think it uses a very small amount of power each time you use it. Would it fool Penn and Teller? Yeah, I think it would. I mean, it's probably too mass marketed now to fool them. They probably know what it is. But if you could put together a nice routine where, you know, the method was hidden somewhat within the theme, within the effect, yeah, this could fool Penn and Teller. And that's my review for this week. Great value for money, very expensive, but worth every penny. Lovely routine, lovely trick, Mental Die. From Murphy's by Tony Anverdi. That's the show for this week. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now. Oh, orange. Not juice. Sponge balls.